right, thanks for staying with us here on Weather Unfiltered. All right, so the hurricane season just began, and you can see here from the graph, we've literally got 100% of the activity still ahead of us.
This is always the most depressing time of the year to look at that and just be like, wow, you are here. It's like when you're going to go on like a really long trail hike. Now, we hope it's not like that, Dr. Knabb, but there are also some things that we need to think about, some things that we need to be wary about, especially when it comes to our preconceived notions. You're calling them hurricane curveballs.
Yeah, the atmosphere can throw us some things that we didn't think would happen. And I wanted to help us expect the unexpected and prepare accordingly. And I first want to talk to people who have been hit recently, and maybe multiple times recently. I think the human nature is, well, if I live in the Eastern Gulf and I'm in Florida, surrounding areas, Gulf has been over the last decade, and a lot of notorious names in here, but I can't tell you that this year will be any different. What if the beat goes on? So don't get yourself into a false sense of security. If you're new to the area, what if this year the community you move into gets hit worse than any of the storms of the past 10 years? So get ready, even if you've been hit recently.
Well, maybe you can't even hope that they've gone through it. They're like, I'm not going to let myself be in a vulnerable position again. I'm going to be prepared no matter what, right? The other thing that you say is, okay, what about those that haven't been hit in a long time? That may be a curveball for them.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. People tend to, again, human nature, we tend to get ourselves into a false sense of security, and we think, well, I've been preparing every year. And look, I've got family who live in Broward County, Florida, in the Fort Lauderdale area. They moved there more than 50 years ago, and they have not had a major direct impact in Fort Lauderdale from a major hurricane. Look at all of these notorious names and all of these near misses, but if you zoom into Fort Lauderdale, you see, well, Andrew was compacted and went to the south. Francis and Jean came ashore to the north. We had David come by in '79 that I was there for. It hasn't been since Hurricane King in 1950 that Fort Lauderdale was directly impacted by the winds of a major hurricane. Wilma was Cat 1 and 2 when it came over the area.
Yeah, so you can't count these areas out. I mean, that kind of goes back to who we've been talking about as overdue or not for storms.
Yeah, so you might be thinking, let me show you a map. Prior to 1950, this is the 1940s. And there were multiple major hurricane strikes in Broward County. It was one after another. If we go back to this, after more than half a century of no direct major impacts in Fort Lauderdale, people are going to go, oh my gosh, when's it going to stop? So don't think it can't happen to you just because it hasn't happened in a long time. And I've got another example. What about New England? Look at all of these hurricanes that have nearly missed. Now, Sandy was a significant impact, but not so much for New England. And look at all these storms that passed off to the south and east. But I want to show you a map from prior to 1970. Look at the same number of years. If we go back to this, oh my gosh, direct major impact. So if you're in Boston or New England and you think, well, we don't get that bad hurricane, they always weaken before they get here. History teaches us otherwise. So if you haven't been hit in a long time, still get ready. Even, people might move into an area and they talk to the residents and they ask, well, could a hurricane hit here? Nah, they never hit here. And then it actually could happen this year.
Right. The other thing you're saying about a curveball is, be wary of those early season lulls.
Yeah, or mid-season lulls, right? We last year, this year, seasonal review what happened last year. This is still amazing when you think about it. 5 named storms through August 20th, including Cat 5 Beryl, farthest east, earliest, and all that. Look at that peak of the season. Yeah. Nearly 3 weeks without a named storm. People thought, well, where's the hurricane season? It's the peak of the season. Nothing's happening. And then we get clobbered by Helene and Milton, both at the coast and inland. But then there was 2004. Okay, that was kind of the opposite. Okay, look at how 2024 ended up. But 2004, no storms in May, preseason, nothing in June, nothing in July. People are going, where's your busy
There's no hurricane season? Yeah.
The first named storm, ironically named Alex, was in early August, and then it was gangbusters for the next 6 to 8 weeks.
That makes sense. I'm typically late. By at least 5 minutes, not 2 months.
But you started off the season with a bang.
I did.
But including Charlie, Francis, Ivan, and Jean. So don't let any lulls during the season make you think that you don't need to continue preparing.
Or things won't be bad.
Don't let the atmosphere throw you a curveball this year. We got to be ready everywhere throughout the whole season.
All right, great stuff. Thanks, Dr. Knabb. We'll be back.